Hi guys! So the day is finally here. I am doing my first ever episode. So welcome to the cafe with Carolyn, guys. I'm so excited. Guys, this entire journey has just been literally insane, but nevertheless, I'm still super excited, and especially because this first episode, I'm going to be interviewing somebody that I love, that I admire, and that I believe just has an inspiring story. First of all, she's just a boss. She is pursuing her master's. She graduated college, all while having three children. She has one on the way. She has two children right now. She has three kids, and she's under 23. And she's pursuing her master's, like I mentioned. And just being able to witness her, you know, not necessarily battle, but handle everything with so much grace with all the pressure she's under. I really felt like she could help other moms and other people who are dealing with super pressurized situations, especially if you're in school, excel. She's excelling while pregnant with two little children at home. And I really feel as though her story can inspire you and lend you some wisdom. So without further ado, let me bring our first guest in. Yay! Oh my gosh. Okay, so I said your name already, but obviously let them know. Introduce yourself.
I'm Nyjae Briggs, and I'm not sure if you can hear my kids in the background, but if so,
Okay, it's a part of it, right? It's
it
like,
is.
so I told them already about the fact that you're in school with two kids and then one on the way.
Yes.
That's a miracle because, baby, uh, we got assignments, we got bedtime, we got nap.
We have it all.
First, we have it all. Like what? So I didn't get a chance to tell them about your better half, Joanne. Um, Tell me just like a little bit about him.
A little synopsis.
A little.
Yeah. Well, we both went to UVA together, and we started off there for our first 2 years. And then we
Mhm.
both transferred to University of Cincinnati and got married the first month of our junior year, so in 2021. And then he
Right.
plays football here as well. And
Mhm.
that's really just about it.
See, that's really just about it. First of all, she was in college and she met this guy. And by the way, guys, he's not just like no jock or somebody that's like, hey, football, whatever. No, he's like a really, really nice guy. And I mean, I was happy. I'm still happy for you. And I'm really, I was like, wow, okay. But I it's just amazing seeing because he's younger than you, right?
Yes, he is almost a year younger.
Yeah. So it's amazing two young people like build a family together. And I think one of the things we talked about when you agreed to like be my first guest was just the importance of just as a mom and as a woman and as a student, like maintaining your own sense of self and just how
Right.
important that is. And I've noticed like a lot of women kind of struggle with that because it's like I got his world, I got my kids' world, and then I got my world. And you have to kind of like let them coexist. So, what are some like new ways or new things that you've learned since entering this role as like wife and mom? And how are you learning to kind of like allow your worlds to coexist?
I think the biggest thing is realizing that they all will coexist for the rest of my life. So although all
Right.
of these roles are fairly new to me, like they're all different aspects of my identity. So instead of thinking of it as, I need to still have my own separate life. I try to think of it in a way that allows me to live my life and do the things I want to do while still being an amazing wife and mother and, student
Right.
and everything else.
Yeah, literally all the roles, all the roles. Um, that's amazing, first of all, because I honestly, when I was like 22, 21, I was not, I was nowhere near thinking of, I was thinking about that. And so it's just so cool. And what I love specifically about how you're like carrying this is you excel like still in school, like you're pursuing your master's, right?
Yes. I'm pursuing my master's in health and wellness, and I should be done with that in April of 2024.
Period. Period. I love that. And I mean, it's just so inspiring because it's not just like, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's like you still have like this goal in mind for your life, but you're still like giving 100% home too. It's not like the kids are missing
Yeah,
mom just because you're a math student. You know what I mean?
I
And
definitely.
like that's because I watch you pour into your family. Like I watch you pour into your kids. I watch you like even down to nap time. Everything is really intentional, and that's that's really cool. Like I love that. Um, and I know that although we're like just saying how amazing it is, I know it's not the easiest job in the
No,
world, and
not at
not the
all.
easiest thing to do. So, could you speak to like some moments of difficulty? Like, what did you not expect in terms of just like motherhood, and how do you like overcome some things? Like, what do you lean on to like overcome like exhaustion, for example, or just when things are like, Lord help? Like, what do you lean on?
Just what you said, Lord help. So I definitely lean into my faith in moments of uncertainty, just anxiety, and all the emotions. And I definitely lean on my husband because he is an amazing support person and father and husband and all of the above. The
Hmm.
things that I did not expect, I'd say all of it, honestly, because I think going into motherhood, it's so easy to just say, I can't wait to hold my baby. My baby is going to be so
Hmm.
cute, and I can't wait to do all of these exciting things. And while that is all a part of motherhood, all
Hmm.
of the hard things are the things I did not expect. Babies, they're demanding. It's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week job. It's something that never
Right.
ends. And that right there can be really overwhelming, especially when you're
Hmm.
trying to split attention between all these different facets of your life, whether that is work, school, other kids. It's really
Yes.
difficult.
Yeah. Imagine. And that's one thing that I think especially in the age of social media, people don't, rarely do you see people film the difficulties of
Yeah,
life because everybody's like doing great. This is good. Motherhood rocks. I'm this and that. But really, like when you're behind the scenes or when you find those rare gems of women who are brave enough to say, no, today sucked. I love my
yes,
children, but today sucked. And I think that's where a lot of people can find like common ground because then you're kind of, you don't feel as guilty if you have a bad day or if you're like, my child is driving me up a wall because listen, Sarah just had a bad day too because none of us are perfect and we're human and that's okay. So that's
I
that's
definitely
like,
agree with that.
yeah, because I mean it's so much pressure to be perfect and to be like super mom, but really bad days exist. Like bad days
Bad
happen.
days really exist. Being super mom is just, waking up the next day and trying again, even if it's another bad day. I think it's really
I love that.
Thank you. I think that's just one of the biggest things that have come like over time with my journey throughout motherhood is just moments are hard. Kids are hard. Raising kids are really hard, and dealing with emotions are really, really hard. And there will be bad days, and
Mm-hmm.
there will be amazing days when you're like, oh my goodness, I could have 25 kids. And then there's a day that's like, wow, I have kids.
Right. Right.
And that doesn't mean you love them any less, but acknowledging that it's hard and giving yourself the space to, say it's hard really makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, does that sound like advice that you would give yourself at the beginning of this journey?
Yes.
Like, what is some encouragement? Yeah. So, what is some encouragement that you needed to hear at the beginning that you're able to kind of give your former self, so to speak?
I think I really wish like I could go back and say to my former self, like, it's okay to struggle. Because before then, I had never heard of anyone like saying, this is really hard. Like, I don't enjoy this. And
Right.
that's what I
Right.
feel
Right.
like because everyone talks about the newborns and everything, but going from no kids to one kid rocked my world. The lack of sleep and the toll that takes on you, I did not expect in any way, shape, or form. And it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not enjoy the lack of sleep
Right.
because I did not. So I really just, I wish I could give my past self, a hug and just say, it is okay. There's not something wrong with you. Everyone struggles with this, but not everyone speaks about it.
Right. I love that. And a key thing that you said is that there's nothing wrong with you. Because I feel like a lot of people in general, but in specific to like motherhood, a lot of moms tend to internalize the struggle and they reflect it upon themselves. So it's like, well, if I'm having a bad day, is there something wrong with me as a mom, opposed to this is just a crazy day? It doesn't mean that I'm a bad mom, like
But
you were
yeah,
saying.
I think that's why it's so important to talk about the good and, not so great things.
And the not so great things. That's amazing. I love that. So, because I have my little questions lined up here, but you're like saying some gem stuff. I'm like, okay. So, basically, I want to know, and I know this because, guys, I didn't mention this, but Nyjae and I are first cousins. So we literally were raised together, we grew up together, but even with that, still, there are things that you have experienced and things that even I experienced that we both don't know about and that we've never really talked about, really, even though we talk about everything. I've never gotten a chance to ask you what are some things from your own upbringing that you are or in the future will incorporate in the raising of your own children.
That's a great question. Honestly, just I'd say the greatest thing that I will take from my mom is just being able to be that person for my children and know that there is nothing they have to hide from me. Like they can always come to me and I'll always love them. Even if I don't agree with their
Mhm.
choices, decisions, or whatever the
Right.
situation is in that moment, I will be there for them, to support them, to love them, and
Oh,
to guide them through it because I'm their mom and I love them and want the best for them. And I would hate for them to ever feel like, they couldn't turn to the person they should be able to turn to.
right. Oh, yay. I love that. Because I think that's a big, like, gap between children and their parents, but especially between
Yeah,
moms and daughters. Because you have a baby girl named
I do.
Ren, and that's my sweetheart. I loved her. Um, but I think one of the ways in which our generation is able to break a lot of the curses and stuff is, like you said, to be like the person that they need, regardless of the circumstance, like
Yes.
regardless of whatever news. I was just not just, but it's almost like I was just reading it because it stays on my mind all the time. But like Joshua 1:9 is like one of my favorite verses in the freaking world because like God is telling Joshua, he always has to tell him, But in this specific one, he's telling him like, be courageous, like I'm with you. And then there's a couple verses in Isaiah where God is constantly like, you know, whatever comes, I'm gonna be your God. Like whatever comes, it won't overcome you because I'm there. And
Yes,
that's what I is a good dimension or a good good dimension in motherhood that reflects God's own characters.
I
Like
agree.
he's going to be for us regardless. So as moms and as parents, we should also do that for our children because he's like that with us, you know? So that's really beautiful. That just reminds me of God. So I love that. And speaking of religion, how do you, because I know it's not very popular among our generation to talk about Christ and how we'll incorporate that into our parenting, but as somebody, you're young too, like you're also still developing like your own walk, you know what I mean? How do you plan on incorporating like your faith into your children's lives in a way, you know, that's natural or whatever? Like how will you do that for them?
Um, well, my children, specifically my son who's 2 years old, and he observes everything. He sees everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like while I'm on my own journey, praying before each meal and things like that, I pray with him before nap, bedtime, in the mornings, and all of that. We listen to gospel music together. So he is taking in all of this. And while he may be too young to really understand, you know,
Hmm.
it all, this is becoming, his habit so that he one day
Right.
can also walk that walk with God, and he'll always know who he is because he's always seen, his parents
Yeah.
know who he is.
Right, right. I love that. And that was key too, like incorporating these like habits early on so when they get older, it's like I pray before I eat. I do, you know what I mean? So it's not like once they're older, it's just something that you're like popping on them. Oh, now we do.
Exactly.
If it was already done his whole life, then he knows
Exactly.
that. And like the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they won't
Amen
depart
to
from
that.
it. That's real. And I know a lot of people are, you know, kind of loose with that, but and I'm not a mom, so I don't know how I would approach that. But because like you were saying, he'll be able to see how you and your husband are walking, like he'll be able to look back and say, my parents were like this. They were able to do this, so I can do this too. And I think that's super important for your children to be able to look after your life and see how you
I
walked,
agree.
you know, follow that as they get older. So that was really cool. I love that. Um, and first of all, I love your kids. I I know that I'm their favorite person. You don't have to say it. It's okay. I know
That
I'm
might
their
be
favorite
debatable,
person.
but
Like I literally love them. And one of the things that we talked about often, especially with Joanne, little Joanne, is how when his personality started to come in, like how funny that
yeah.
was. And also that Ren's personality is starting to show. And I just think that's so amazing. So can you like walk me through like when you first started realizing like Joanne's personality versus Ren's and like how they're different and how like you know how that is for you as a mom? Like, wait a minute, you guys are starting to become people. Like how how is that for you?
They have been different in almost every way since birth, from sleeping habits to things they like and dislike to just obviously reaching milestones at different points in time. And I
Yeah.
think it's really one of the coolest things to see, how genetics just genetics are great. They even I think the coolest thing thus far is seeing them at the ages they are now. With my son, he's 2. And my daughter she just turned 1, and she just takes in everything he does. She repeats the words and she tries to play with him, and they get into
Mhm.
little disagreements about toys.
Right.
So it's really cool, and my son is a very strong-willed little boy. So navigating that has definitely been difficult at times, but it's also a quality that will serve him well throughout his life.
Mhm.
Ren is getting in her little sassy stage, and she's just a little princess.
She is. She really is.
She thinks she is the boss of everyone already, and I think it's the funniest thing to witness, and
It is.
it's
Good.
bittersweet seeing them grow up, but it's also
Yeah.
wow, it's just so amazing.
Yeah. I love that. One thing that you said that I picked up was with Jawan, like his strong willed personality, but you being able to have the discernment and realize this will serve him later on in
They
life.
will, yeah.
And a lot of times, like, I hear parents like dismiss certain qualities of their children's personality because it's difficult, and them not realizing, no, this will serve them later on in life. Like, he'll be a good leader because of this. It's just, it's
Yes.
my job to, like, help him navigate that. But
Yes.
this is going to be a good thing when he's 25. Like,
He is
he's
definitely a
not going to
leader.
be easily,
He
you know what I mean? I I was I don't remember if I was like reading something or watching something, but um it was basically like a little girl or whatever, and I think it probably was Super Nanny because that's my show. But she was a piece of work, but I think like Nanny Joe like helped the parents realize like, no, this is a good part of her. It's just your job as parents to help her learn how to navigate this part of herself. And also, I was watching a sermon, and he said that the word parent means to bring forth. And I thought that was so profound because I never even knew that. I'm like, oh. And he's like, as parents, you're supposed to bring forth like the things that God placed on the inside of your children. And if we just dismiss things because they're difficult, or if we say, no, I can't stand when they do that, or I hate when they do that, and we try to like basically just get it out of them, we'll never discover really what God placed on the inside of them without seeing what we can draw out.
I agree.
So that
I agree.
reminded
I
me of
always
that. I'm
try
like,
to
oh,
meet my children where they are, and while guiding them to where they should be or where they will be.
right, 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 right.
I
I know
try to
what you
really
say. I
like
never.
I really use that, and I try to give him options and choices and all of that to really just, encourage that part of him, because I'm not trying to shut that part of him off at all, because that's a great quality to have that he will
Hmm.
need and will continue to have one day. So I think
Hmm. Yeah.
navigating that is definitely a delicate balance at times, but it's
Hmm.
something that I still strive to do. And, I'm never going to get it perfect, but I strive to, get better at that every day.
Yeah, I love that. So that leads to one of my other questions is ways that you have evolved or are trying to get better as a mom. I know like this is, I mean, you're on your third, but still in a short period of time. So it's not like you've been a mom for 15, 20 years. So, but even still in this little time, I know that there are things in you that you've probably noticed that has grown or evolved. So can you speak to that? Like, what part of you, even just as a woman, that motherhood has helped you see has evolved or changed that maybe you were like, oh, wow.
I think that's a bit of a hard question, because I feel like every part of me has changed. I am not the same
Mm-hmm.
person I was before I became a mother. I am not the same person I was even when I just had my first son. I
Right.
continue to grow and get stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually every single day. And I always strive to
Mm-hmm.
continue to do better. And I feel like that's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life in all stages of
Mm-hmm.
motherhood that I enter. And right now I have young
Right.
children, with my oldest being
Mm-hmm.
2. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest change I've noticed is just how I've handled situations and, the
Hmm.
calmness and peace I bring to my children in their difficult moments rather than always being stressed out with them.
Right.
And other than that, I really can't pinpoint one thing because I feel like I'm just constantly growing and changing, and it's not something I really realize in the moment.
Hmm. Right, right. I love that. That's cool. Because I feel like there are also like qualities that you have totally just gained from becoming a mom that I see now just period, like it just permeates in general. Like your response time is different. Like the way you respond to certain situations and the quickness that you do is different. But I know they say that like once you become a mom, that other instinct kicks in. So like I totally like witnessed that with you. And just part that calmness too, like you were talking about, like just bringing that into the situation and not becoming frazzled with it. I think that you bring that to a lot of things, and it's not just your kids. Like now I feel like that's just how you handle stuff that's trying to irk you.
I
Now you're
agree with
like,
that.
because I've just noticed like subtle changes, and I'm like, wow, like Nye really is a whole different, beast, but like the same. You have that same determination, the same like, because you always been intelligent, the same, base, but like there are parts of you that have totally evolved, and I love that you said you're gonna continue to evolve like throughout all the stages of motherhood, because I mean, we
Yeah.
can't stop. How are we going to stop as long as we're breathing, we're learning, and we're growing? So I love that. And to anybody else who's like struggling or you feel stuck, like you've heard Nye say a lot of times, number one, struggle is ordinary in motherhood. Like it happens and it's okay. And it doesn't make you a bad mom. So you shouldn't internalize that struggle. But just like she's saying, it could help you evolve emotionally and spiritually and just as a person. So maybe just changing your view on that and not internalizing it, but seeing it as something that can help strengthen you instead of, making you feel like, what the heck is going on? Even though you'll have those moments too. So I really I don't know, I just love this, and I know that this interview alone will help moms and even people who are witnessing moms, because I don't think that just because like I'm not a mom, but I learn a lot from moms, and I because I admire them. So I think that even I learn a lot from watching you and from watching my own mom, and more importantly I can gain like another level of understanding and another level of thankfulness and gratefulness for the journey, because I'm not a part of it yet, but I could help like ease the load, or I could just respect you differently because I understand like more of your point of view. So even if you're not a mom, let's say your girlfriend is about to have a child, this is another way for you to be able to help her and relate to her and be able to see her as a human being and not just someone that had your child.
I agree.
Not just, you know what I mean, not just someone that you like or love. This is a woman and a person that's going through a lot of things that is continuing to evolve. So don't expect the same person once she has a child. Like expect different aspects, right? Would you say that was fair,
Definitely.
like for a man to also like be able to expect something different too, and not just the girl that they were dating before? Like, no, I'm gonna change a little bit.
Yeah, it's impossible to be the same person you were before becoming a mother. It's just a transformative experience. So
Hmm.
it's, I think what people really kind of fail to do sometimes is they fail to embrace that change. It is okay. You don't have to be the same person. You will never be the same person. Your friend, your
Right.
spouse, they will never be the same person. And
Right,
just
right.
supporting them on this journey and figuring out new ways to show up for them and getting to know this new side of this individual that you've known for X amount of years is what
Yeah,
it's really all about.
that's really cool because there was something on YouTube I was watching and the guy was like he was like officiating a wedding and he was like, you're not just saying I do to the woman right now, you're saying I do to the many versions of her
Yes.
about your marriage. And I think like that speaks to that. Because like you said, like there are ways to show up differently. There are ways to just support them more and just to just be there for them in a different way that maybe you didn't expect. But if you're watching this podcast, and now you do, so
Exactly.
right, like you can definitely just show up differently and show up more while experiencing and embracing the different version and the different woman that she has become. So that's beautiful, and I think that's like a good place to end it. Now, first of all, I'm so grateful that you did this because you're busy, like we were talking about. Um, and I just want to say to you that like seeing you in this role has been like one of the pleasures of my life, for real, because everything that I like, I don't even know how to describe just how like proud I am of you and just how I'm just happy for you, like in the
Thank
purest
you.
way. Like I'm so happy for you. Like I don't think I've ever been this happy for another human being. I'm not even gonna lie. Like it's just a different type of happiness I feel for you because I know that the gift that your husband and that your children have in you is so enormous. Like it's just so wonderful. And I know that as you evolve, as you continue to just change and embrace all these changes, like you're just going to get brighter and brighter. And I wanted everyone to witness that. And I wanted
Thank you.
these new to be able to gain like a few pointers from you because it ain't easy. It's not easy out here
Not at
on mother.
all. Not easy, but it is doable.
But it is doable. And like we stated before, you're still in school. And you're still like striving to become and establish your own dreams and your own goals, and you're not just completely engulfed, right,
Yeah.
in everyone else. So I think that's beautiful too. Can you just like for a last note speak to the importance of maintaining that?
I think it's extremely important. You cannot pour all
Mhm.
yourself into your kids and your spouse. That will leave you feeling like you're not a person and you are a
Mhm.
person. And the wants, goals, dreams, and everything you had before you had your children or spouse, they're still attainable and you should achieve them. It may not be as easy, but it's definitely doable and it's something you should do because it will make you a better individual. And it's so important to cater to yourself because while we will be parents until the day we are no longer on this earth, one day our kids will have families and lives of their own. If you pour all of yourself into them up until that point, you won't even know who you are when that day comes. And that's really
Wow.
not a feeling I ever want anyone to experience. I don't want to experience that feeling.
Right.
I want there to be more to me than just motherhood.
Mhm.
So that's what
Mhm.
I've just been striving to do. And I think everyone should really try to find their purpose outside of that too.
Mhm. I love that. So now I gotta ask you one more question. So why are you pursuing your master's degree in that specific field?
I'm really passionate about health in general. So, health and wellness, this specific master's program is really cool because it gives me a little bit of insight into what I'll be learning in nursing school because I plan to go
Mhm.
to nursing school after this as well.
Period.
So, I think it's just really interesting. And I'm really focusing a lot on Black maternal health, which is something that I'm clearly, passionate about. And it's
Yeah.
something that's very useful in my life today. And it's
Mhm.
also focused on different aspects of stress and everything, which comes along with motherhood. So I think it's just beneficial for the stage that I am in my life right now.
Mhm. Okay, I love that. All right, Nye, thank you so much for visiting the cafe. I love
Thank you
that
for having
combo.
me.
So, before you go, please tell them like where they can like follow you, or get just a few updates and things like that.
Yes, updates or following or anything like that is mostly on Instagram, and it's at Nyjae
Yes,
Briggs. Can you write that in there?
sure will. I'll put it somewhere. I'll get
Thank
it
you.
together. Hey, guys, it's Nyjae Briggs. If you have any questions on motherhood, you can send. I think this has like this an audio feature on Spotify that you guys can use if you're listening, and you can send me a voicemail, and also you can hit up Nyjae too.
Yes.
We have like so. Thank you guys so much for visiting the cafe, and Nyjae, thank you so much. I love
Thank you.
you.
I love you too.
Bye.